I'm glad everybody here. If y'all would just go ahead and mute yourselves. I want to start off with kind of talking with Cruz here. We got Anthony Cruz, who's a award-winning recording engineer, mix engineer. He's worked with a lot of artists from DJ Khaled, Eric Sharon, Meek Mill. He's gonna come here today and share a lot of information with us. Share his time, share some stuff that he has picked up over the years, and allow us to be here to ask questions with him, and then even explore a session with him. So Anthony Cruz, thank you for coming through. Is it cool if I call you Anthony? I'm gonna keep it Cruz.
Yeah,
But
Cruz if you can.
all right, for sure.
Appreciate you.
No doubt. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you coming here. I know that you are a Full Sail graduate. Hold on one second. I just want to switch. Hold on, yeah, I got to get my Zoom together.
Hey Wayne, if he talking, he's muted.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you guys can't hear me?
No, that's because unmute your Zoom for now, and then once we go over to the actual presentation.
Got it. So mute the Pro Tools one.
Yeah, and I'm all right. You muted the Pro Tools one.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I don't got to mute mine. Cool. Keep mine up, and so you good. So everybody can hear Cruz now, right?
What's going on? Sorry about that. I thought I was.
No doubt.
Different workarounds.
So, like I was starting off the Cruz. You were, a Full Sail graduate, but before graduating in the Full Sail and attending, you actually went to school and graduated from Georgia State, right?
Yeah. Before really diving into music full time, I did what a lot of people typically do, and it's that thing of kind of following what your family and loved ones, what you think will make them happy. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us fall into that. There's nothing wrong with it. I think there's good intention, but so I went to Georgia State University and with an English degree. But while I was there doing that, everybody's like, "Oh, you want to be a teacher?" Or no, I honestly didn't know at the time what I wanted to be fully. It was just the perfect degree to explore different opportunities, different departments. I learned film history, music theory, things like that. It was just such an open degree. You could kind of just dive into a bunch of different things. And it wasn't until after and being on a corporate hustle that I, realized that I could take this love of music that I've had for years, full blast, and that's what led to the next step.
Word. So I see that education has always been important in your life. Were your parents into education, or they leaned on you hard to kind of pursue education?
Yeah, I was actually the first on my side to graduate college, and I think it was just kind of one of those things that I don't know. It's like when I'm raising my daughter right now, and every time I'm thinking about her, I'm like I'm setting up for her to be able to do that if she wants to make that decision. But there's just, I mean, you see what's going on in the world right now. There's so many opportunities for kids coming up. There's teenagers that are 10 times wealthier than us right now, just playing video games and, being full time into things that make them happy. And I think that's amazing, So, yeah, to answer your question, it was definitely important. My family instilled education in me, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I learned a lot. I think it helped me in, I have a good balance of street smarts and, book smarts. And so it does help in the long run in business, but I wouldn't be the type to force it on anybody.
Or I can definitely understand that. And you're right. Like it kind of college and school, especially as the time I was growing up, that was like the normal path. But nowadays you can make $1 million selling a JPEG. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So I asked that question about education because you finished the whole 4-year school and then you went to Full Sail. What degree did you pursue at Full Sail?
I was at the tail end of their recording arts associates program. that was the biggest thing that attracted me. Was I was like, wow, I could learn all this in 1 year and be ready for the big leagues. Let's get it. That's kind of
Right.
uh, the sales pitch. So
Yeah, I
it
did
got.
that same 1 year program, man.
I thought I was the man. I got out of there. I was flexing at all my interviews for internships. I was like, what do you need to know? They taught me everything. That's what I thought.
Well, how would you categorize your education at Full Sail? Like, how would you sum that up? Do you think you were well prepared enough to go into the industry after that, or?
I thought I was, but it's until you apply what you learn in the real world in real scenarios, you don't really know because they can only set up scenarios. Like when you go to school and you do fire drills, you don't know how you're gonna actually react when the fire hits. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You just know, like, all right, let's try to get single file outside, go to the fence. You don't know
Yeah.
how you're gonna act when there's actually a fire, and so I think that's kind of the way it is in really in any field, but especially in music and dealing with artists and you know um, their personalities. Some of them are nice and they'll be patient with you, but there's majority of them that don't have time for some of the hiccups that um, beginners could give them. You know what I mean? Like they're quick to be like, "Yo," they'll hit somebody on the side and be professional, but then you get the tap on the shoulder, like, "Let me talk to you real quick." You
Eh.
might not be working out here.
Has that happened to you before?
Mm,
Or was you the guy
actually,
that came in and took the spot?
nah, I didn't have to ever do that to anybody. Thank God. I couldn't imagine, but I did. I've had some horrendous sessions, um, and it was pretty bad. I mean, afterwards, I felt like obligated to do something. I didn't want to leave with that stain on my name, so I like bought everybody lunch and was apologetic about any of the mistakes that had happened. Not that they booked me for any other sessions, but I was just like,
Yeah.
I was terrible. It was brutal, but uh, like I said, like I would go into interviews and they'd be like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how fluent are you in Pro Tools? And I'm like, I'm a 7. I was like, I'm not gonna tell them I'm a 10. That's a little too much. I'm not gonna say I'm on the lower end because I might not get the job. What they were looking for was honesty. Like, I need you guys as guidance and help, but I could give you some value in terms of what you would need out of an intern, grabbing food, taking out the trash, things like that, and then being a fly on the wall in the
Yeah.
midst of it. I'm thinking they need me to be ready. And so
Okay.
I learned the hard way, uh, you know,
Okay. So you basically saying that you like it was at one point where you kind of said you were more advanced than you were. It ended up in a situation that you couldn't really execute how they was expecting.
right, right.
Okay. No, that's an important lesson because a lot of people always try to say, fake it till you make it, but you basically saying like, no, sometimes you need to be honest so that you can get the help and assistance you need to really
Yeah,
do what you need to do.
yeah. I mean, definitely, I think in retrospect, my biggest thing was not being as aggressive once I got in the door about sharpening my iron, and staying on point with everything and what the latest trends were, what all the plugins were, what, having a network of people in the community, kind of what you're building here and staying educated, staying on top of my game. The other part is like, of course you're not going to be the best in the business, but at least you'll have some sort of a rhythm, a constant rhythm. I don't think I push myself after I got the opportunity. I was like, man, I'm just gonna be, I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna do what I need to do. And I think that's one of the things I could give you guys is that I definitely didn't. I wouldn't say I got comfortable, but I definitely didn't, nerd out the way I needed to. Like if you've met Guru before, Wavy, I seen he showed you some love not too long ago.
Word
He's
up.
very much a student to this day, to the point where you're like, dude, you're still very. I
Mm.
mean, like he makes us like when I talk to him, I'm always like, man, I'm not on it. Like Guru's still like, I'm gonna read the manual before I open that up, and I'm gonna figure out,
Yes.
okay, it's not gonna really work until we're at negative 18 threshold and this and that. That's not the. And I'm like, dude, this guy, he's still a very much a student of the game and um very sharp. and so he's never gotten comfortable since I've known him. So you know, in retrospect, I think that was definitely my weakness, but um,
I can
I would
respect
never
that.
shy away. I would never shy away from opportunity, you know. But yeah,
No, that's an important lesson for sure. I think that like it is always the people that's at the top of their game who are always kind of steady learning, steady like kind of working with a humble attitude and looking forward to what's next and understanding like, look, I don't know it all, but I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna keep working at it harder than anybody else, right?
absolutely.
Man, so that's dope. So I'm kind of thinking, so you leaving Full Sail, how long is it for what where'd you go to intern at? And did you like intern directly out of Full Sail?
Um, Leaving Full Sail, it was almost a year um before I landed an opportunity. When I left Full Sail, I left and went to stay with my grandmother in Connecticut while I went back and forth to New York. I knew I needed to be in New York,
Mhm.
just from where I felt like the music business was for me. I know at the time it was either LA or New York. It wasn't really, people were sleeping on Atlanta, people were sleeping on Memphis.
And then and you were from Georgia, right?
Yes.
You
Well,
from
I migrated to Georgia. I was a military brat, so I started Midwest, like Oklahoma, Colorado, and then um, we
okay.
landed in Georgia, and my family's still there to this day. So,
Okay.
mhm.
Oh yeah. So I think you was kind of explaining how it took you a year to get into your internship position.
Yeah. So basically, it took a year. I got out, and I, made all the sacrifices I felt necessary. I went and was juggling a few jobs while I was getting in contact with all the major studios and trying to get at least interviews and trying to get in and build a network. And it was really tough, man. It was really tough. It
Mm.
was before Instagram and all that really, really popped off, and the world got smaller from the internet. I was still just commuting, taking the train, and you know, really grinding it out and taking calls and expecting. I mean, it was tough, having to wait for those callbacks, and you sitting around between your shifts, like, man, are they gonna call me? Am I gonna get this internship?
Yeah.
No.
So what was your approach? Were you like kind of walking into studios with resume or emailing them or
I was mostly just researching um, via internet and sending resumes via email, getting in contact, calling, doing cold calls.
Hmm.
And a couple of the spaces I went and actually, introduced myself to a couple people. The way that it actually came and actually happened finally, I had
Mhm.
ended up in New York after a while and was subleasing and just kind of, on a daily grind, just trying to keep some money going. And the girl I was with at the time had a internship at Sony, and across the hall, Rock Nation used to be in the Sony building, and she, put my name in the hat, like, I know you guys have a studio,
Mhm.
and my boyfriend's looking for a internship, and so I have to give her credit. We're not together, but she gave me a ill alley oop.
Yo, for sure. It's all you need some people in high places to,
Yeah,
look out for you. So she ended up getting you the internship with Rock Nation as a intern at their studio.
yeah, Rock the Mic Studios. It was no longer there, but it was
Yeah.
amazing, amazing place. A lot of action there.
That's dope. That's dope, man. So how long after that, like what was the day-to-day like once you got this internship?
It was pretty hectic because it was booming. It was like the B Room was Stargate's home base at the time. They were there full time. So all the top sessions mostly came through Stargate, the Mary J. Blige sessions, the Neos, the
Mhm.
Katy Perry, Shakira, all the biggest artists,
Yeah.
came through Stargate. And then, not to mention, the A Room was booked by mostly the Rock Nation roster.
Hmm.
So it was always booming. So it was like my first session there that they threw me in the fire. Neo was in the A room. Mary J. Blige was in the B room with Stargate, and I forget who was producing in the C room, but it was just
Man.
insane.
So you like went from zero to hero in one day. Like it's like, hey, you started from, not knowing what you was gonna do next, and then next day, your first day interning, right immediately, you in there with all the top, top people in the game.
Crazy.
Word up. So
I always
what?
reflect on that because it's an amazing story. Like
And I know you probably sometimes when you in it, I know for me especially, like I just it didn't feel like what it is once you talking about it after. It's like, dang, you know what? That was crazy. It was Neo in A room and Mary J in the B room, like and it was me there too. Like, that was crazy.
exactly. That's exactly how I mean, because you're so like you have blinders on and all you're thinking, if you want to do this right, you got to make sure everybody's taken care of. You don't want your name coming up in a bad ways. The studio manager calling and what's up with this kid you sent us? Like I just wanted to stay.
That's
So
it.
even like the first few days, I would just not use my phone at all because I remember one of the things I learned was to stay off your phone in the studio. And I mean, look at today is like, you
Yeah.
know, everybody
I
threw that
wonder
up.
if that's still a rule for especially for interns, man. I think especially because like you can't be Instagramming and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that's a rule for, especially if you go to like one of these, like we deal with a great staff at Jungle City, and
Mhm.
those guys are always kind of to the side in their own world, but they're never, I mean, I'm sure they would get
Absolutely.
called for stuff like that. But yeah, I would literally just not use my phone. People would be blowing me up like, "Yeah, are you okay?" I wouldn't leave till 6, 7 in the morning. Nobody knew if I was good, how everything was going. I was just so nervous and just excited at the same time that I just took it so serious, like maybe
Yeah.
too serious. Oh, sorry about that. I can't
No
remember.
problem. So what
So,
kind of work were you doing in the beginning of your internship?
in the beginning, it was, you know, um, it was all the dirty work. Like
Right.
the crew needed food. Um, Go get supplies, all running, nothing active. I didn't really get my first crack at a session until a couple months in. I know there's some studios that's way worse. So when I tell my story to some people, they're like, "Oh, really? Like
That's a
I'm
fact.
years here and I haven't gotten."
Exactly. Nah, man. It'd be like that. I spent over a year before I was, able to run something at Quad,
Yeah,
and there was people there that was there before me. Like two, I've been here for 3 years and I still haven't. I'm like, well, look, I'm not gonna be you, but we could. It could definitely vary. So a couple months in, you getting in your first big session, and this is a recording gig.
yeah. The first session I had at Rock the Mic was with Neo. Actually, it was like a full circle thing because he was the first person, one of the first people there when I got there, and it was a writing session, him and a new artist, and I stunk up the room, and that was the one where I was like, "Yo," I went and bought everybody food and was like, "Yo, my fault," because it wasn't terrible where they couldn't salvage anything or like I made um, audio errors, but I was just like slow at certain stuff, and I could tell he was getting a little aggravated.
Yeah.
But he's such a cool dude, man. He was just like, bro, it's all good. I'll take the food for sure, but you know, all good. And every time he would come after that, he would bring his own guy. So
Yeah. Like it's all good, but never again.
ever
Yeah.
again, yeah. But he was very respectful. He didn't trash me or anything like that. So
So did you go home after that and be like, yo, I gotta practice. I'm about to get my skills up. I'm coming back better, faster, stronger.
yeah, and what's crazy is it kind of helped me because the way that I approach things today is like, these type of opportunities I take advantage of because I don't want people to feel how I felt. And there's moments and there's things that I take away from that I'm like, man, I could pay it forward to people in a way where you don't have to feel that embarrassment and you could
Mm.
save the money for the lunch. And you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy because it's like there was a guy that would be in and out of there that I looked up to. And I noticed I'm like, every time he would load a session, it would be a template. And I was ignorant to this because at Full Sail, everything was from scratch and how quick can you set up your sessions and things like that.
Yeah.
And they're very like old school in a way of like everything was mostly analog. So they didn't have fly Pro Tools templates, you know,
Right.
everything based on the analog gear. And now that we're in the box, it would have been helpful in retrospect to have some sort of a base template. And I remember, you know, hitting professors that I looked up to, like, hey, what's up with this idea of templates? And they were just kind of like dumbfounded, like, what do you mean? Everybody's different. Why would you use a template? And, you know, somebody might sound different or whatever the case. So
Yeah.
they were anti template, and that
I've
actually
gotten that.
could have been a, you know, that could have helped me a
For
lot.
for sure. That you needed a template right in that
Yeah.
session. But Neo, where's that Neo template?
It was very taboo at the time. I mean, engineers were very like, I'm not gonna
Secretive.
my template. Are you crazy? I mean, and I
Absolutely.
give my, you know, I have mine on my website for people, and it's
Hmm.
been I get amazing feedback, which you know, I love hearing people's stories about how I kind of like stepped them up a little bit, made them look good in the studio, and that's what it's
Word up.
about. You know, like helping people be more prepared and avoid, like I said, issues that I had of having to like set up a scratch session and pray that when Neo jumped on the mic, it sounded kind of cool, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man. And you know, and then when you're working in that high level, everything has to happen quickly. It's got to happen right now. So you don't have any time for, you know, scrambling around which plugin I'm gonna use, and you know, let me find the key of the song. Everything just feel like so much pressure when it's, you know, a Neo in the room, or you know, now a Meek Mill in the room.
yeah.
So you worked a lot in that studio. That's dope. And so how do you find yourself? So is the studio giving you gigs now from there on out? Is they're kind of booking you?
Yeah, so any opportunities that would come in, it was rare, I'll be honest, because the level of artists that were coming in, I mean, it was J. Cole, it was Ryan Leslie, all these guys would come with their own team.
Yeah.
And so um I
But you're
started,
there as an assistant.
yeah, I was in-house. So like if anybody came and they didn't have anybody, they're like, yo, Cruz, there's a session coming, they need an engineer,
Okay.
we need you there. And that's how I got a lot of big gigs, like, you know, Santee Gold and all these amazing people I got to work with came through that, you know.
Word up.
Hmm.
So and I noticed that too, like, you know, when the big artists are coming through and traveling, they definitely usually will have an engineer with them. They got engineers produce, they got their whole team coming in. They just need somebody that know the room to say, hey, nope, this patch is broken, that one works, and then you
Absolutely.
stand back to the side.
That's
um
it.
so at which point did you start working with Dream Chasers and Meek Mill?
This is I was about maybe a year and change in.
Hmm.
Uh I started there about 2011. So it was almost 2 years.
Okay.
Comes in 2013. He's working on Dream Chasers 3. He had been working with in-house engineers and trying to find a guy because he had a lifetime engineer that helped him up to a certain point. And, you know, then he ended up working just kind of whoever was there. Um, so he came in no engineer. I was in disbelief. I couldn't. Yeah.
So right, and then so y'all worked together one time, and then did he like request you after that, and that's how it started going, or
Well, the thing with Meek is that very uh he's very easygoing for the most part in terms of as long as you didn't give him any problems, he'll give you another opportunity
Mhm.
to continue to prove yourself. So after the first session, I mean, the first session he didn't even jump on the mic because, and in retrospect, I know why, because like, you know, he's very hesitant to work with new people, and I think I came in when he had somebody for a couple weeks,
Mhm.
and he may have gotten like comfortable or whatever. But the first thing, and this is to my template thing, my template statement, he pulls up a template when he comes in, and he's like, "This is my template that I work from." So
Really?
anytime we do a session, you got to open this template right here, and it's the one I use to this day that I've edited over the years, but it's the one that is the foundation to what I have right now. This is my template. This is my sound. He didn't know about the mic and all how much all that stuff affected it, but he's like, inside of Pro Tools, I need this
Hmm.
set up like this, and it was crazy, like how in tune he was with a lot of stuff.
That's absolutely crazy. I've actually never heard of an artist coming to a studio with an engineer and saying, "This is my template." Like that. And it makes all the sense to me because I've been asking this. It's like a question that you ask, and if you ask any like kind of senior engineer, they're gonna be like, artists don't have templates. They every time is from scratch, like But it's like, nah, there's templates.
Yeah, there's templates, and he was very like adamant, like, and he knew like if you were trying to experiment and do things like before we got in good, where he trusted my ear,
Yeah,
I would try to like make adjustments. I'd be like, oh, that sounds kind of weird. He'd be like, yo, something don't sound right. Like, fix my voice.
that's those East Coast rappers, man. The East Coast rappers, they know exactly what they want to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you change anything, you try to do no experimentation. No, listen. What is that? Reverb? Take that off. Come on, quit playing. Yo. For real.
Yeah, but we got into a zone and it became kind of experimental, but still like keep the foundation of the sound, but throw in some extra sauce, like try to give you the weekend vibe here, or add extra delay throws there, whatever it is. But the core of his sound, he very much laid out to me.
Word up. So
Yeah.
are you doing production still?
Yeah, I'm very much in tune with all the producers we work with. Our in-house guy, Nick Paps, is that's like my little brother. We work closely together in terms of just bouncing ideas. I'm not physically in Fruity Loops with them, but I'm like bouncing ideas back and forth. Like, yo, if we do this, or especially the last album, Expensive Pain, I really jumped off the deep end in terms of trying to enhance some of the production and get a little creative with like switch ups and stuff like that.
Dope. There's definitely some bangers on there, man. I want to take a second now and like kind of open up the floor to anyone who might have a question that they want to ask. Yeah, if y'all would use like the hand raise feature on there, and then I'll call you out if you do have a question. You can hit the little hand on the Zoom. All right. So nobody got a question. If you do, or raise your hand in real life if you can't figure out the
metaverse.
The metaverse, exactly.
My guy,
right. Lex goes. He definitely in the metaverse. All right, Lex, go ahead and unmute your joint. Nah, you ain't got nothing. I think we covered a lot. They're gonna have.
I got a question. Cruz, for your template, are you using Wave plugins or the stock Pro Tools plugins, or vice versa?
I do both. But when I do the update, I think I'm gonna shy away from the stock version because it's just not as good, So I have mostly waves. Vast majority of what I'm using is waves, besides Valhalla, Reverb, but that's interchangeable with Reverb. So yeah.
Where can we get your templates from?
It's breakitdwn.com, breakitdown.com without the O.
Word up. So you sell those on your website?
Yes, sir.
Oh man, dope. You think we can maybe set us up a special elite discount or something?
For sure. Yeah, just hold off, guys. I'll send off to Wayne, and after this, we'll get you guys situated with a code.
Yeah, nice. Word up, because I want to try that out too.
Yes, sir.
I want to see that too.
It's a good starting point. You make your tweaks based on your knowledge, and it just gives you a different tone. So you can experiment with it, see what you think.
Fire it up. All right. Anybody else? Go ahead. Feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go.
Go ahead.
Hey, I'll go ahead and go. Hey, man, so kind of doing some research about you. Can you go into a bit about like what you do with the Break It Down Foundation of Music and Education and all that? I just thought that was pretty interesting.
Oh, that's amazing, man. I appreciate that.
Definitely.
That's a good question, Eric. I knew I liked you.
Well, I saw that in the 40 under 40 and all that. I was like, oh man, this looks really cool.
Thank you, man. So basically, what I'm doing and what I'm most passionate about right now is really putting a lot of energy into my foundation that I founded as of last year, that is rooted in giving back to my community, I come from a Hispanic background and I grew up, in a very diverse community, but I want to give back to my underserved minority youth. I just remember what inspired me, honestly, was like just remembering some of the setbacks and some of the disadvantages that you come in contact with coming up from a different background. I just, like people looking at you as not as advanced or not able to do certain things, whether it be educators or the like. And I just wanted to do my part to give back. We just did our first event actually the end of last year. We did a free session at Quad actually, Wayne. So
Okay, that's dope.
yeah. So we had a nice group of kids that came through, and we did a 3-hour session, almost 4 hours. I had my entertainment lawyer there giving them music business advice. We went over kind of the NFT craze, really educating. Also, I had my man Ben there who works with Uzi now, giving them a breakdown of a record that had came out, mixing tricks and tracking advice, things like that, just life advice, things that you go through in the industry. And we're just going to build a community. And, I really want to impact in a major way and give back. So I really, really appreciate you bringing that up, because that's something that is that I'm most passionate right now about.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
hell
dope.
yeah, man! I think that's really dope. Like when I looked into that, I was just like, I love seeing people do stuff like that, not
Yeah.
just for the music community, but just communities in general, man. So it was really cool. I really appreciated someone at your level was bringing that attention.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for that question.
Definitely.
Word up. Good question, Eric. Yo, Big Ben.
Hey, how's it going? I was watching a video a while ago, and I think it was the one you did with Lil Uzi and Meek.
Mhm.
I just noticed, like you talked about moving around the arrangement to get different feels and sounds. I was just curious what you're looking for when you're doing that, because I noticed just what it brought to the song, and I thought it was really unique. So I was kind of curious what you're looking for when you're arranging these songs for something like that.
Mhm. Basically, what I'm trying to do when I'm arranging a record, we start off with 2 tracks, so I'm just arranging the 2 track, just trying to be quick and do creative things to keep the record exciting, because especially with Meek, like he might like a beat at first and then be into the recording, and then if it's kind of overly repetitive, he might shy away from completing it. And so this particular one he loved a lot. It's just the actual arrangement. He's very particular about how he starts the verse. Like, it's 9 times out of 10, it's going to be on a 4-bar dropout, like a builder. He likes to build energy and then the beat come in and go crazy. And so that's what I'm looking for, is just keeping it exciting, making sure it's in his comfort level of how he likes to come off on these records. Stutters, things like that. I haven't done as much lately, but doing like little stutters and stuff and doubling kicks and things like that, again, just adds a little ear candy.
So when you're working out of them 2 tracks too, did you find it a little bit more difficult than using the track outs, or is that something that you find a little bit more easier?
It's the only difficult thing is working with the 2 track is a breeze, obviously, because it's just a stereo track. But when you get the breakout session, if the producer you're working with doesn't match exactly the 2 track and they have different sounds, or maybe they didn't process the files correctly when they exported, it could get a little frustrating because it doesn't match the same texture and sound that you had in the 2 track. So there's going to be a little back and forth to try to match it as close as you can. So that part could get frustrating when you get overly creative in the 2 track and then have to try to match it in the track out, because then the artist gets frustrated, and that's where they're like, "Oh, we just do a 2 track mix." Then you're like, "No."
Yo, I definitely had working with Meek sounded like working with Jim Jones, man, because he would be the same way. We'd get the track out, he'd be like, no, I don't feel right. Just use the 2 track.
The 2 track. And I mean, what are you gonna say? I mean, there's only so much you can explain to them about how much you could do for them, and they're just like, "Yo, it just doesn't feel good," and that's where you have to kind of back down and
Mhm.
make it the best it could be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because doing the edits and stuff like with the 2-track, that kind of makes a style and that you couldn't get or you wouldn't normally get anyway with the multi-track. You wouldn't have done those same things.
Well, what I do now and what saved me in Expensive Pain is I was very close to the producers that we worked with. So I had the track outs pretty rapidly because I would tell him, yo, he loves the songs, to me the track outs immediately so I could avoid the demoitis. And so I would get in there and get busy and make it sound even better with the track out to where he would be like, okay, now we're gonna enhance it from this. You see what I'm saying? So like I think the first time we really got into it in that way where like we got him super comfortable was Championships, and then Expensive Pain was like kind of a cakewalk on that side of it.
Dope. Let's see. Let's go to the next question. Who got another question? If you do, jump in. I think Lens.
Yeah. I got another question. Cruz. If you are tracking, when you're tracking, do you prefer like analog gear, or you just using a straight interface and then using your plugins and mix in the box?
It depends on what I have access to. I'm typically traveling with his setup, so I'll have like his 1073 and Tube Tech, and then the mic that he prefers, and
which is
well, we'll bounce between, like, I'm trying to get him to grab his own Sony because we've gotten married to the Sony over the last couple years. We were on the Manly reference, and we're back to that now. He kind of wanted to go back to that sound. So we're back to the Manly reference. I had him on the VMS for a while. He was rocking with it, but I don't think he was fully in. And so when he mentioned kind of like discomfort, I was like, okay, I don't want to force anything. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to like show him that it modeled different mics, and he wasn't all the way married to it. So so we got him the Manly reference again. So we're back at that. But yeah, I try to travel with his setup. If I don't have access to something on the fly, I love using console and just mimicking the what I will use on the road in the box, especially if we're like in a hotel or somewhere where it's a quick on the fly setup. I'm cool with console. I think it'll get a great sound, and then you can just kind of go in and really dig in on the mix to make it sound even better. But it's pretty clean.
I'm UAD affiliate. Love them guys.
Yeah, good people.
Word up. Good question. Yo, Duran.
What's up, man? How you doing, crew?
Yo, what's going on, man?
I got a question. When you do the effects, like what mostly effects do you go to? Like, do you just do like mostly delays, or like type of what's the name of it? Delays, throws, reverbs, what you call it? I forgot the name of the thing, but like what's most of the effects that you go to exactly?
I actually recently just took a couple of throw tracks from my guy Ben. His session, he got all kind of like extra sauce, so I borrowed a few things from. So I'll do. Typically, I'm just reverb, delay. A lot of his stuff is pretty clean because it's like him just rapping, and you don't want to go overboard. You want people to hear him. But the tracks where he wants you to get experimental and get busy, like I'll use those throw tracks. So it'll have preset effects that you can go in and edit as you go. But it'll be a bunch of different delay throws, so you could just drop it down quick. It'll be 16th, quarter note, whatever, and you drag down and go from there. My guy James Royo, who helped mix this album with me, went super crazy with some of the effects. I don't know if you guys really tuned in Expensive Pain, but there were moments and delay throws and that build with like reverb swells and things that were all automated that were absolutely incredible that he inspired. So he opened my eyes to just a whole different world of how to really go in on the effect side.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of delay effects on that record.
Yeah.
Dope. And you have one of the songs from Expensive Pain that you're gonna kind of walk us through a little bit on there.
Yeah, I was gonna go over Blue Notes 2. Yeah, it's one of one of my favorites.
That's one of my favorites too.
You know what's crazy? The session I'm going to show you guys is Mix 20, and the reason it was kind of like it was us being stubborn, trying to force Meek to understand, like, yo, we're trying to make it sound bigger and whatever, and he was like, yo, it sounds too much like a live band. And it took us a minute to understand what he was talking about, but you know, there's like a drum loop in there that we try to liven up and make sound bigger, and there were just different elements of the record. The guitars, we try to make them spicy, and he was like, dumb it back down, you know, where it's not going to sound terrible, but it's just going to feel more raw the way I want it. And there's that, you know, we have our pride issues that we have to put to the side when we're dealing with our artists and understand that this is their body of work at the end of the day. And so it took 20 mixes to get back to the feel of the 2-track.
Yep. Yeah. I know. It took 20 mixes to get back to the 2-track, man. Yep. And that's the East Coast rappers, man. East Coast rap, they know they don't like nothing extra. They don't want nothing too spicy. And because there is a certain feeling to that over limited, you know, smashed 2-track, that's what drew them into like, oh, I like that. That's what made them want to rap on it. And then now, you know, we get the multi-track and like, oh, but I'm going to make it more dynamic and make this feel more alive. And like, nah, it went somewhere else.
Yeah. So that was his way of saying it. He did it on Hate on Me Now too. Hate on Me is a whole other, that was like 30 something mixes. And thank God I had James, because he's the coolest dude. Like, he would just be like, all right, whatever we got to do. And, you know, I would fly him in and we would work in person. A lot of the stuff we tried to knock out remotely, it just wasn't, it wasn't working because of the time difference, him being in LA. And so us being in the same building, he would be in the booth with a setup and I'd be in the room with Meek, and we would just bounce ideas and give updates right there in real time. It was probably one of the illest processes, aside from working with Guru, where he would be downstairs, and same kind of concept.
So basically, you're in the room recording, and James or Guru is, you know, in a next room mixing the previous song.
Yeah, and then when he would get into the entertainment mode and play 50 records or whatever, I would dip off and go get in my zone about making sure, you know, certain things were getting cleaned up, or if he would have notes, I would go immediately and deliver the info, and just, you know, really dig in. So
that's dope, man.
That's for my favorite workflow, you know, because you could do it by yourself, but do you really want to? If you know, if you can find somebody you trust that, you know, you have respect for, that can help you elevate it and give you things that you might not have thought of. Like I said, I couldn't have made the album sound the way it sounded without James. There's no way.
Yes. Yeah. And it sounded great, man. 2 great minds are better than one, man. But 3 might be too many.
Third is the artist.
Yeah. Hey, say that. Let's take a pause from the questions. I'm sure y'all will have some more after we dive into the session a little bit. So I just dropped the link for y'all again. I'm gonna drop it one more time to the listen to. You already know how we got to do. Just pull up that link in your background. Please make sure y'all stay muted the whole time till we bring you on. Otherwise, it'll give us some crazy feedback and stuff.
Okay.
Wavy, I'm not seeing the link.
You're not? Oh, I'm sorry. That's because I'll keep sending it to a direct message for some reason.
Lex, are you in my room right now?
Oh man, Lex, you never know where he might be. He probably can't hear us.
Okay, yeah, I get lost in there too. I got mine over here.
Man, I got one of them joints too. I don't know where to go yet. Have you done any, like, I see people with, like, they in the studio in the metaverse and stuff. Have you tapped off into that?
I've been trying to figure it out. I think it's through like VR chat or something like that. That they find these environments.
I'm doing that right now. So that's what I was doing. I'm listening, but I'm building my virtual studio at the same time.
Are you building a virtual studio?
Let me check it out.
So I can invite y'all over. Y'all can pay me some money and come spit some bars.
There you go.
There we go, man.
Send me the link, man.
I'm just trying. And hey, I guess it could happen. It's gonna be happening real soon. The only missing part is all right now. How do we actually record this and do all that? But I guess I mean you have a microphone built into the VR headset.
I was gonna go over sharing locations, which was all done remotely. All three guys were in the same room in Meek's studio house during peak pandemic, and I was here in New York. So
wow. So y'all recorded the whole thing remotely.
Yeah, they were all there, and yeah, we used audio movers and team viewer, and I was just controlling his setup, and it was like I was a ghost engineer, and he would always brag like, "See, looks like he's here, right?"
That's tight.
It kept things rolling, you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of cool, but I'd much rather in person for sure.
Oh yeah, man. How is it dealing with latency? Is there a latency and lag issue kind of when you're working?
Yeah, I deal with the latency on my end. It's a slight latency, but I control his computer for that reason. So he hears everything as if I'm there in real time. I get the slight lag, you know, and that was the best way I felt we could do it. And so he had the proper setup and things like that. So as long as whoever you're working with has their a Pro Tools rig and maybe somebody around that knows a little bit about the technical stuff, just in case something goes wrong, and they can be there quick to
turn the phantom power on.
All that.
Yeah. Which one is the phantom power?
Somebody bumped the mic, so like if you hear the hook, there's like a little noise we couldn't get rid of. And
okay.
I mean, but yeah,
that Sharing Locations is definitely one of my favorite songs right now, man. I ain't gonna even lie.
A lot of fun making that.
That's dope.
All right, so go ahead and
yeah, let's do this screen share. Everybody got the link, right?
All right, let me mute this mic now so we don't get crazy. Hold on.
Hey man, that's all you get for now. The rest of this content is reserved for the Wavy Seals Elite. Click the link below to join so you don't miss none of these gems.